Hello. We are part of Teen Art Club here.
It's great to learn new skills and meet a lot of new people with the same interests as you. You can just kind of hang out and do your own thing and just draw for a while.
When I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel way too young for this. What if everybody else is a whole lot better than me? It's not like that at all. Everybody has their different styles and how far they've gotten into their art career or really just art for fun. And we all understand that here, and it's important that you know that when you think about this place.
It's definitely a very accepting place, and you can just be yourself and have fun.
My journey started with my relationship with Jesse Revick, who's our program director. Jesse and I would have lots of conversations about the need for art education that was outside of a degree-seeking situation, and making sure that people had access to learning and experimenting that was guided by people who knew what good art and art education could look like. We'd been having those conversations, and I also happened to have had coffee one day with Jelaine Pinchuk. And so she and I looked at each other and went, let's try to make this happen. Our energy led to us starting the 501c3 and also to combining our efforts with Bluff Strokes, the paint out. So Bluff Strokes paint out had been happening in Dubuque for many years by then, and Jelaine was on that committee. She had this great idea to take the energy and legacy that existed within that paint out and to merge these two organizations. Voila, we end up with an art center, a full-fledged art center, a building and people and community and art every day. It's been a phenomenal year. It's been a year full of hard work. I've mown the lawn, I've squeegeed water out of the basement, I've become a bookkeeper and a marketer and a volunteer coordinator. There's a lot of energy going into starting this, and then we keep adding people with more and more energy, including the people who come to our classes, the people who come to Open Studio, the people who are interested in our professional development. Every single person that interacts with what we're doing adds energy to it and helps carry it forward. I think that's what's happened this year and a half, is that we've created a great community. Lots of folks would love there to be arts programming available, but the idea of the economic commitment to what that takes, those are quite difficult challenges to meet. I think the more we can explain that clearly to people, the idea that being an artist or being a nonprofit organization, these are jobs, these are careers, that can help. And so hopefully we become an organization that can help translate that idea to the rest of our community, that the arts are worth investing in. A youngster who walked into the doors of the Art Center of our education area, they were a student with the Boys and Girls Club, and they were doing a programming for them here, and they walked into the door and looked up and just said, we get to make art here? That's how I feel coming to work every day, right? That this is where I get to make art. But seeing that from somebody else, hearing that from folks who are coming to the Art Center is just the best thing. It's fantastic. I think something that's slightly more personal for me with respect to being at the Art Center is that there's one particular student who took the very first art class here. It was an oil painting class with Pam Hyatt, and then has continued to take classes every session we've offered them. And that person was 84 when he took his first class, and it was the first class he'd ever taken. He hadn't colored, he wasn't a drawer, he wasn't anybody who did that kind of thing. But the most wonderful part about it is it's my dad. So I get to see my dad here, but I also get to see a man who thought, if you had asked him 2 years ago whether he would be making art ever, he would absolutely have said no. So to see somebody who said yes to being a beginner and who has persisted and beyond persistence become one of the founding members of the organization, and doing so while he was working through the grief of my mom's death. And so it really makes me smile to see sort of this mashup of our mission, the newness of what's happening here, and hoping we find people with the impacts that we feel are super important at the Art Center just coming right to life, and it just happened to be my dad.
My cousin, Mary Beth, just told me she was taking a course here, and I thought, well, I don't have anything else to do, so I took intro to oil, and I was amazed from the first day on the difference it made. It actually, that one course made in my life. After 2 classes, I never saw color the same way. I never saw lines the same way. In fact, we were talking about stoplights. They're not red, green, and yellow. They're all mixed of colors. And so that fascinated me. Walking in the woods, just looking at the angles of branches. I always liked the outdoor, but I never paid specific attention to angles. Everything I see, I'm fascinated with nature, the trees, but holes in trees. I'm not painting as much as I probably want to, but I draw just about every day. I have to make lines on papers. I don't feel like my day has progressed if I haven't scribbled something down. It's actually taken place or taken over golf, and which is impossible to do. I noticed in the beginning, just like the beginning of anything, when you talk to people who are here, it was, I don't want to say they're hesitant, but it was all new. And now people just explode when they're here. No matter who you're talking to, at least here, people are excited about what's going on. They actually want to be here. It's dynamic. It's a lot. I'm almost, next month I'll be 86. And I just think there's an opportunity here for people my age, older, a little bit younger, that to reach out to them. I think it would be beneficial, health-wise, mental health, community. I think we can do a lot more to encourage anybody, but especially older people, that this is a good thing to do.
I am a youth educator here at Bluff Strokes. One of my favorite things about teaching art is when my students are in the zone and the energy in the room that creates. Walking around and seeing my students super focused on what they're doing and showing that what their ideas are and everything coming into fruition. And then also at the end, the sense of pride that they have in their work and that feeling of connectedness to what they created.
Dubuque just has a really great energy for supporting the arts. One thing that I think has been really wonderful since I've started working at Bluff Strokes Art Center is that all of the different sort of entities throughout the town. I know part of our goal, and I think I would say the same for other community entities' goals, is there's a lot of integration. We really are trying not to fight for the same kinds of resources or fight for the same kinds of public attention. I think that we've made a real effort to work together, and I would say I'm relatively new here, but that's all I've seen from anybody else as well since I've been in this position. I think that's really great. I love the human interaction of teaching. I consider myself like so fortunate to be able to be teaching what I love. It's twofold. I love painting and art making, and I love people and love teaching. And so to be able to like do both of those things at the same time, it's just like, oh my gosh, what could be better? A lot of the students that I was having at Clark, some of them were retirees, some of them were high schools. They weren't all college students. And I realized that there was a demand for accessible art education that went beyond just what you can get for college tuition. That just became something I was really passionate about, that art making and art teaching is something that is truly valuable to our society. I believe in that. The fact that I was able to transition and to offer what I've been doing for 20 years and I'm very passionate about, to make it more accessible. From my perspective, part of our strength is that we really live our mission. Mm-hmm. I'm not just saying that. We firmly believe in what we stand for. Our mission is that we want to offer high quality education, arts education, to the community at large.
I've experienced that myself, being a legally blind artist. From the day I walked in the door, mm-hmm. Your visions and your mission have touched my life and my art. And everything I've ever wanted from an art center is and has been provided for me.
I teach the Wednesday homeschool class, and then I do the middle school Saturday art workshops. I think it's so important, especially for young people, to have the opportunity to make things with their hands, for them to have opportunities to express their ideas, and just getting really great instruction on a variety of tools.
We called up the art center here and signed up to come and see the place, and had a tour and met our directors, and I thought, wow, it just blew me away. It was the best art center I've ever seen, even in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Best art center I've ever seen. We decided that we would rent an apartment near the art center. We knew that we enjoyed the place so much that we wanted to live nearby. We wanted to be a part of the Dubuque Renaissance that's been going on here for the past 25 years since we left. It's remarkable, the things that have happened.
As I got older, I actually left art behind, but the result is that I had about a 20-year hiatus, and I ended up having a traumatic brain injury in 2012. And part of the healing process, my therapist suggested that I go back to something that had always given me great joy, so I could work on both my cognitive and emotional healing, and I knew it was art. And all of these things combined led me to consider providing opportunities for young people and for older people to both learn, to explore materials, and to become better practitioners of art. The idea of providing an opportunity for people to practice art as part of their normal routine. What I think is most important is that it is stable, that it exists into the future, that we grow at the right pace so that we can ensure its longevity. I want this to be a place that the learners and the makers who come here are co-creating it with the staff and the board, so that as we grow, we're growing in a way that our community needs us to grow. My hopes would be that we have artists who are part of the common studio area and they're making art here on Sundays and in the evenings and while we have classes going on upstairs, that the programming, the learning that we have going on now expands, that we can provide more opportunities that fit the need for those who want to use our services, and that we can find our way to being the space that is really about art for everyone, that we are meeting them where they are, providing the next version of what Dubuque needs for visual art.